G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and it's a bit of a theme here going. It's talking about some of the Shimpakus, and I'm going to work on some of these Shimpakus that are going to go into their first bonsai pot. This is another one. This is actually a twin trunk Shimpaku that I styled about 6 months ago, probably a bit more, and it's on my channel. It's coming along really well. I'm really happy with it. After I air-laid a couple of these trunks off, created gins out of them, so they look okay. But you know what? There was multiple trunks on this tree, which I was never going to use. So air-laying them off, I created more trees with them, and now I've got a really nice little twin trunk. Now I think I was going to tilt this slightly this way. It actually looks pretty good like that, but I think it just needs a slight tilt to give the main tree the focus. But I'm just gonna, as you saw in a previous video, what I do now is I do a cleanup of the tree for getting it ready for when it gets repotted into its first bonsai pot. The reason I do it a bit earlier, I do about a month earlier before I repot, is that I'll have it all cleaned up. Clean up the foliage underneath, clean the little growth that grows in between the crux of the two branches. Things like that, cleaning it up, rewiring some bits, cutting off some other bits. The reason I do that is it's it's 4 weeks or 5 weeks before it's nice and settled before I do a repot of it. Because once I repot, I don't want to touch the tree at all. It's just purely watering and looking after and maintaining it just to get it to grow again, get strong. Usually give it 6 months in a new bonsai pot before I even touch it in terms of cleaning up the foliage. So that's the reason why I do that. It's just what I do. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it seems to work for me. I don't like to do two things on the tree at once. Like, I don't want to style it, do the work that I'm doing now and then get it in its first bonsai pot. I prefer do those two jobs separately. So doing the work now, give it 4 weeks, 5 weeks to recover, then repot it out of this plastic pot into a bonsai pot, into a good mix, so we can start to really refine the tree. So hopefully that explains why my method to my madness, as I say, but I think there's some logic there, but that's just what I do. So what I'm going to do now is start to work on this tree in terms of cleaning it up. It's really good from the front. It's not too bad. Side on looks pretty good too. The back, there's a few gaps, a few holes, like in this area here, there's a bit of a gap in there, which I'm sure we'll be able to fill with some foliage once it grows out. We'll just have to move things around. I think we just need to fill in some of this area here. It's a bit bald. But yeah, it's pretty good. This side, interesting, but not the best. But as I said, from the front, it looks sensational. Just probably need that. I think it just needs a back branch in there. But I think we can try and build one with one of the lots of other branches everywhere. So it's got a lovely first big branch here, lovely little tree on this side. Really, really coming along nicely. I think this might have to be a bit smaller. I think it's getting a bit too tall. But yeah, a couple of little things we'll work on today or tomorrow. It's getting a bit dark at the moment, but might finish it off tomorrow. It doesn't take too long, maybe an hour's work. Clean it all up, wire it all up, and it's good to go into a pot this year. So it's exciting because it's another tree that goes in a bonsai pot that gets to be really refined. So that's enough talking. I will see you guys back after I've done some cleaning up. I'll probably start on the lower branches as I always do, and then we'll work my way up the tree. So that's simple as that. Okay. Alright everyone, just a quick update where I'm at. It's a bit dark to see in the camera, but I've wired this first branch down, wired this out, wired some of these inside branches, wired a couple of these back ones as well. Now I'm going to work on pretty much this top half of this tree. So I'll get this top half sorted and then I'll work on this one. So really it's just fanning out. Like, it looks very bushy still, only because it's still young. It still hasn't developed that hardness in wood that I need. But other than that, it's getting the layers cleaned up underneath, cleaned up all the crotch growth, cleaned up anything that goes straight up, dead branches. If there's any three in one area, take one out, things like that. The standard process you do over and over again. So really got in there, really wired everything up. Starting to work at the back here as well. Needs to be filled out, so I'll wire those branches in place. I'm not going crazy on the wiring, but anything that's wireable, I'll wire. So anything that's now formed a nice woody brown colour on a branch, I'll wire. But if it's still green and long, I won't touch those. Okay, so I'm going to get stuck into finishing off this top half, and then we'll look at this side of the tree. Alright, so completed all the wiring on this tree, on this side of the tree. I couldn't do the detail wiring as much in the apex, mainly because they were too small, very small shoots that are hard to wire. But you can see the nice overall look for that side of the tree. It's actually quite nice. Now we've got to blend this in to fit the twin trunk and make it look kind of, you know, blends in and looks natural. So you can see now that this is too big for this section of the tree, so we're going to have to, once we get into this, start reducing it slowly. It'll start to look good, I think. So nice little progression there. Now we do, that's not bad. Pretty well all the way around through, pretty much uniform all the way through, which is good. Now let's get stuck into this. Start again with the base branch here and work our way up and bring this down a little bit. I think make it a bit shorter than that, a lot more shorter, not a lot more, but enough shorter to think it's a secondary tree. So we'll give it a go. Alright, so before I show you the rest of the tree, what I've done, I'll just sort of show you what these two trunks look like. Well, you know, twin trunks don't necessarily start, twin trunks should start more towards the base, but this hasn't really done that, but it's very not far from the base. And you can see the gins that are in there. There's actually, you can see this big one, that small one, and the one back there that need a bit of work, but that was a multi-trunk tree at one stage where I laid them off. So yeah, so I'm pretty much finished. I'd like to get in here at repotting time and see what the base really looks like, and maybe that will determine the angle of the tree that it will look like. So just trying to show you the pads, you know, trying to you know, play around. So I think I must have knocked that, but then you see trying to create the pads and clean lines underneath. Ignore the grass. But yeah, I'm just wanting to show you a bit more close up before I show you the overall tree. Still looks messy, unfortunately, because there's so much very small green growth that hasn't really filled out as well. So there's a lot of green small growth in there rather than hardened off growth. So the more mature this tree gets, the better it will be. But yeah, all right, I'll leave it there. All right, everyone, so I've completed all the work on this tree. Probably not the best lighting, but this tree needs a lot more work in the apex area up here. I'm not sure you can see, there's hardly not much growth, not enough strong growth in this area. But hopefully you can see the overall silhouette that it's now achieved. I think this is it's going to be a beautiful little tree, this one. I think it's got some great characteristics. Looks quite, they blend in together. I think the two trunks blend in together quite nicely. Yeah, so from side on, it's pretty good from side on too. See the lines, not too bad. It's full three-dimensional. Yeah, but I think really enjoy this tree. This tree lacks the growth on this side, so that's why this tree fits into that gap nicely. I have a few branches on this tree just moving about to here, just to give it some, you know, a bit more fullness. So really now it's a matter of this tree filling out. There's a lot of small growth that I couldn't wire, so it's still green. Now you'll notice this when you look at Shimpakus. If they've got that green, it's still green, the branch. It's really hard to wire it because it's easy to break. But once they go brown and get that nice firmness and hardness, then it's easier to wire. So again, so that's why it doesn't look so well groomed and well kept. But maybe I'll tilt it a little bit this way so you can see a bit more of the underlying, trying to do the layers. Yeah, I think it's coming off really nicely. What do you guys think? Hope you like that. Yeah, it's ready for now about a 6-week rest, I think. 4 to 6 week rest before I try and repot it out of this plastic pot with some normal organic soil into a bonsai pot with the proper mix, so that I can start to really train this tree and get it refined. So there you go. One of the hardest things with this was I didn't take all the wire off. I left most of the original wire on, and then I had to add additional wire. It's always a problem doing that, because once you've wired a tree and then you try and put extra wire on, sometimes it gets a bit messy and out of control. But I did what I could. Used mostly the tree's wired with aluminium as well, and then I've just added some very fine copper just because it's much easier to wire the small 20 gauge copper onto this rather than using a very 1mm aluminium, which doesn't hold anything. So the copper in this case was a lot stronger than doing an aluminium the same size, and it makes it a cleaner look. So there's some of the things that I've done and some of the points. So I try to create, it's like creating one overall tree but with two trees, and let them be harmonious. So that's what I was trying to achieve. Hope it comes up all right. I might tilt it slightly this way when I repot it, slightly. Just needs a slight, shouldn't be, I don't think it should be straight there. It's a slight tilt that way, but we'll see how that comes along when it's repotting. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that video. I'll see you next time.